The one thing I like perhaps the best about the fair tax, and remember there's $20 million worth of research behind this, the most thoroughly researched piece of legislation our Congress has seen in our lifetime, certainly, and that is nobody, no matter how much or little money you earn, nobody pays this tax until they've taken care of their family's basic necessities.
That was Neil Bortz from Monday's Follow the Money Tax Day special, Tax to Death. The fair tax debate rages on. Should the IRS become a relic of America's past, and should we simply pay a consumption tax? Let's ask Dennis Calabrese from fairtax.org and Ring of Fire host Mike Papantonio. I'm going to start with you, Dennis, because this is starting to pick up a little bit of steam, the fair tax issue. Help the audience understand exactly what it is.
The fair tax is simply a national retail sales tax. It would replace all federal income taxes with a sales tax. The IRS goes away, payroll tax, income tax, inheritance tax, they all go away. No one cares how much you make anymore. Nobody tracks it. When you spend money, you pay the tax.
So how
when you
will we
save or
punish
invest
the
it,
rich?
you don't. Well, I'm going to tell Mike. Mike's going to be for this when we're done, even though I know he's on here to debate against it. The rich actually spend a lot. I mean, they want to live like rich people. And so the fair tax is progressive because it taxes them when they spend money. There's no more loopholes, no exemptions, no trusts. You read all these stories about rich people not paying anything. That's going to all end because when they go buy the Rolls Royce and they go buy the mansion and they go buy the jet, they're paying the tax.
Mike, listen, sounds like a challenge. Listen, Mike, I know that you're very passionate about this, but it's kind of hard to argue with some of the points that Dennis just brought up.
Not really, not really. First of all, the fair tax is fair for billionaires, it's fair for corporations, and all that $20 million you heard about, went into research about this, that was paid by those billionaires and it was paid by those corporations. What Dennis knows is exactly the same thing you and I know, and that is, in order for capitalism to work, you have to put money in the hands of people. Now, what this does is takes money away. The guy who was paying, maybe making $15,000 a year, for example, okay, he's making $15,000 a year, he wants to go out and buy a car. He buys a car, it costs him another 20% to buy the car because of the flat tax. What happens is he doesn't pay.
Mike, why would it
That's
cost,
exactly what happens.
Mike, why would it cost him more? I don't understand. You got a sticker price on a car. They're going to charge the guy with the least amount of money more? No,
you're not going to charge him more. You're going to charge him the same thing a billionaire has to pay. Dennis also knows this. He knows a billionaire is going to spend about 10% of his money buying consumer goods, while that character I'm talking about, the teenager who wants to go buy a car, is making $15,000 a year. He's going to spend 90% of his money on things like that. So the point is this. This is a scam. It's nothing more than a scam. It's been hanging around there for a long time. It's surfaced and it's resurfaced, but nothing changes about it. That what it does is slows down capitalism, Charles. There's no way you can get around it. Capitalism requires that everybody participate, including the guy
before I bring Dennis back
in,
Mike, before I bring Dennis back in, if I'm going to buy a car as a teenager, I'm going to buy a car, listen, no matter what the taxes are, and it's still going to be 90% of my net worth. So, the wheels of capitalism, I don't get how you connect these dots. What it sounds like to me, though, what it sounds like is that what you're talking about is not an economic policy, but some sort of other policy based on a theory of fairness, but it has nothing to do with economics.
No, it's not about fairness, Charles. It has to do about shifting the responsibility from corporations and billionaires to working poor in America's middle class. It's a bad idea. Everybody who looks at it, besides these people in these cheap think tanks that want this to happen, everybody who looks at it says it's a disaster because it slows down capitalism. I personally like capitalism.
Dennis,
I think it works.
Dennis, you hear what Mike has to say. Well, I mean, how would you respond?
Let's straighten out a few. Let's talk the facts. You can disagree if you want to, but you can't disagree with the facts. Mike, one of your favorite points to bring up is that people inherit money and they never made anything or earned anything and they're not going to pay any tax on that. Guess what? This is the only way to tax inherited wealth is to have a sales tax, because if you inherit all your money, when you go spend it, you're going to pay the tax on it. You don't have a way to tax inherited wealth. The fair tax does. The second point.
Sure you do.
Can I answer? You made 3 points. I need to answer them. The second one, you go buy a car. Let me explain to you how car business works, Mike. They pay tax, corporate income tax and payroll tax on their employees. That's included in the price of that car. That goes away. The person that goes in to buy the car now has their whole paycheck because they haven't paid an income tax or a payroll tax. They have more money. You cannot claim that the middle class is disadvantaged by having more money in their pocket.
That's remarkable it goes away. No, it doesn't go away, Dennis. It's your billionaire friends don't have to pay it, and America's middle class has to pay it. America's working poor has to pay it. This is the best thing for corporations who already don't pay tax. We lose $1 trillion every decade because your buddies don't pay taxes.
You're right about one thing. You're right about one thing.
This is another way for them not to pay taxes. It's a way to scam America's middle class and working poor again. It is the Ayn Rand idea for America's economy. Have no heart, have no compassion. Let the little guy pay for everything, and this is another way to make that happen, Dennis, and you know it.
I'll tell you one thing you're right about. Corporations don't pay taxes. You know why? Because the consumer and the customer always pay the corporate tax. You can raise it all you want to, Mike, and it's always going to go back on the little guy. So you
that is not true.
Guys, we're going to have to hold it there. It was spirited, and if you want to switch and not tell us, Mike, you can just send Dennis an email later. But really, you guys make great points, both of you.